because this is what I did. Don't do anything that I do because I say that this worked for me. Do your own research, please. Okay, so my doctor was already telling me like, hey, you're basically ready to go. You just, just start walking. Like walk, do a lot of that. I know it's hot right now because it was June, so heat was intense. If anything, he was even telling me like, oh, if it's really hot and you end up getting too hot, you could probably also induce your labor, but that's not going to be very safe, but I know you do need to walk. I don't know, inside of the house, but just get a lot of walking in. I was going out for walks when it was a little fresher. I would do the curb walk where you put 1 foot and 1 foot like on the curb and then off the curb. A lot of people gave me a lot of different recommendations, but I was already at a point where I kind of just wanted to have my baby every day. There's like little, I think, things that you should definitely be sure of before you're taking anything. Make sure your baby is engaged. So the baby is down in the pelvis. My doctor had told me all of this before I took it. So he did let me know like, hey, you are dilated a bit, like a centimeter. From then on, and that's gonna be, a centimeter basically feels like a regular period. And anything after that is just stronger, like a stronger feeling of the same thing. The baby was engaged, the baby was down. I was feeling already pains, the shocking. I kept thinking I was gonna go into labor any second. I swore that I was in labor literally probably when I was like 7 months. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel this, I'm in labor, but no. The weeks went by and nothing. I am also very traumatic. So I have had 3 babies. They were all different deliveries, but ultimately what I'm really here for is to talk about Midwives brew. So Midwives brew is a natural remedy that is used to induce labor. So I was trying multiple things to induce labor. My doctor told me, hey, at any point you're ready, so now we just gotta wait. Now, when people are taking Midwives brew, you should do so only if it's already being told by your doctor. I also posted it on my TikTok where it shows me showing all the ingredients that I ended up using. There's multiple recipes online for this Midwives brew, but I used, I guess, kind of like a combination. So for the most part, for sure the catalyst is going to be castor's oil. I'm just going to give my experience with it. So I did use it. It was, I believe, 2 tablespoons, but I will put the measurements here of exactly what I used. And this happened probably at 4 p.m. June 15th. I mixed all the stuff up. You're supposed to drink it within 30 minutes, I believe. So I did, literally in like less than a minute. I just chugged it and I waited. After an hour or so, I started getting contractions, just regular like Braxton Hicks type of contractions. And then they got stronger, like very strong. And I hadn't felt that before, so I was getting really excited. I realized probably a little after that it kind of just calmed down. It wasn't like that anymore. And yeah, I kind of was like, oh dang, it's probably not gonna work. And then it hit around like 10 and the pain just started it came back and it felt like some real contractions. And I was kind of trying to time them. The whole time I had my timer and I was trying to do the 1 minute. The Braxton Hicks were measuring as that, but they weren't strong enough. So then I started getting more painful ones, and I did feel them in my back a bit. I ended up just going to the hospital. My mom took me and I was feeling them and they were very strong, and I was chilling right there. Went to the triage, so that's basically where, like, the emergency room where you check in and then they admit you. So they did. The ladies there, they checked me and they're like, looks like you're doing fine and you're only like 2 centimeters open. Before I took this, I was 1 centimeter. So that's just to say that I was already open. The baby was already head down. Okay, so then I did end up going in there and they told me, honestly, we're just gonna send you home. You're not in labor. And I told her, well, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm getting a lot of contractions. What would be considered labor? And she's like, well, you can't talk to us anymore. when basically you're just unable to speak because you're in so much pain from the contractions. So I really thought that this was it, and I was getting the contractions at the regular time while I was there, but I guess it wasn't enough for them, and they sent me home. As I drove home, I went, took a shower, like a bath, a warm bath for a bit until the pain was just, I just didn't want to be in there anymore. I was like, yeah, I'm done here. I got out of the water and it's like the contractions just got so much worse. It was like an hour later. It was really close. It was within hours. Like this was happening within 1 to 2 hours. So I got out of the bath, went to my room, and I started feeling it again. It was a lot to where I was already groaning, like trying to push through like the contractions that I was feeling. Then it got to the point where I was like, this is too much. I was just switching from position to position until I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I have to go back. And I just came back from there. So it felt like I shouldn't have gotten sent home, but I knew that this was just too much for me. Like, if anything, give me the freaking epidural or something. I was really in there. I was really trying to get that epidural. But here's one thing about Midwives brew. You probably will not make it to the epidural. If you're going to take Midwives brew, just know that baby's going to fly out. That baby's coming out. You're not going to have time for any of that. And I went, at the time that I went, thinking like, you know what, I'm prepared. I got this. I can get the epidural. Well, they sent me back home. I shouldn't have gone back home because I was about to have that baby in the freaking driveway. I was already walking out and I had to stop moving literally to push. Like I could not hold it. I was already pushing. And then my mom drove me. Again, I was in the car in the passenger seat pushing, groaning, moaning, pushing that baby, and I could not hold it. And you know, people tell you like, hey, hold the push. What? I'm not holding no freaking push. I'm not holding the push. I'm gonna push. I don't know who can hold a contraction and not push. I don't know who can do it. Whoever can, props to you, because I could not ever do it through any of my pregnancies. I could not. They're like, hold it. No, I cannot hold it. The baby's coming out. Like that's it. The girl was like, oh, I didn't even know you went home. Like the girls in the front at the emergency, at the triage. Like, I didn't even know you went home. And I was like, yeah, they sent me home. And yeah, I really can't. And then another contraction. I was pushing. I couldn't even have conversations with these girls. So I get it now, how the lady was like, when you can't talk to us, that's when you're ready. Okay, I get that. But also I wanted the epidural. Like I wanted you to catch me before this moment. But whatever. It happened the way it happened. I was pushing, couldn't even finish filling out my papers. I had a whole bag packed. I had bought a cow pack and I didn't even get to use it because my mom, she's Hispanic and she doesn't really speak English that well. She does speak English, but she doesn't speak it that well. So she was trying to find her way up there. She had my bag, it was ready, but she never ended up bringing it to me. And this time I actually packed a bag. My first pregnancy, I didn't pack anything because I was like, whatever, it's fine. My second was a placenta abruption. It happened, and then with this one, I did prepare with my third pregnancy, and it didn't matter because I didn't get the bag anyways. So they moved me from room to room. I was pushing. The girl was like, we gotta check you to make sure to see if you're dilated. I was over there pushing. I don't know what dilation. It's open, girl. There's something's coming out. But they checked and they're like, oh yeah, it's saying, you know what, the baby's coming. And I was like, yeah, I know this. And I was pushing. And then the two girls that assisted me earlier came in and they're like, oh, yep, you are. Aren't you so glad that we sent you home? And in my mind, I was just like, girl, I didn't say anything. I was just like, no, like, instead I told them, that's fine, just give me the epidural. I don't even care. And I'm so glad. One of the girls actually lied to me and was like, yes, we're gonna get you that epidural. I knew that they were not gonna have time to give me that epidural. I was not gonna be still enough for that epidural. That was what I needed to hear in that time, just to ease the pain that I was going through. So I ended up just pushing. They moved me to the next room. Like, they were doing things pretty quickly. They moved me to the next room, and I didn't last long in that room before he came out. Yeah, I just pushed probably 2-3 more times and he was out. I tore slightly, it wasn't too bad. So that was very intense. It was quick. I posted this on TikTok and I received a lot of there was a lot of girls trying it out. It worked for a lot of them. For some of them it didn't. For some of them they were like, how could you do this? What is wrong with you in your head? Okay, well, my baby is 6 months. He's healthy. With my middle child, Venus, who right now is a year and a half. So it was a placenta abruption. So she just came out, and when my water broke, it was just blood. With my first daughter, I walked, and then my water broke. It was beautiful. Yeah, with her, I just walked, and my water broke. Literally, I went around the corner, came back, and in the little walkway in the front yard, my water broke, and yeah, and then she was actually stuck sideways, and that one was crazy. She didn't want to come out. I got so much tearing, stitching, blood everywhere. She was exactly on date, I believe. She was born on the American Mother's Day, and then my middle child, she was born on Mexican Mother's Day, so she was born on the 10th, but 10 years later. So hers was early. She came a month early because of that placental abruption, and I almost died with both of them. Pregnancy is just dangerous in general. For this pregnancy, I had him and there was no issues. I actually didn't have any complications. I had him, and then I breastfed perfectly. Everything, he latched on. Everything was great. He's 6 months now. Yeah, I just wanted to share my experience. And for those who do want to try it, definitely consult with your doctor. Ask him. Try everything else before you get to this point, I would say. Like, try every other remedy. Make sure you're eating right, walking. They'll let you know what you need to do. There's also a membrane sweep that they offer. There's a lot of little things that you can do before you get to this point. To me, it was at that point where I did schedule a membrane sweep, but I did the Midwives brew a little before, and then it ended up being that I had him first time. Some people will try it twice, some people it doesn't work. It just, to each his own. But that's what I did, and I just wanted to say that it did work. Yeah.